welcome to Strength-Based Marketing. I'm Pat Dewar. I used to think I was a video marketer. I have, YouTube channel, several views, a few 100,000, 700,000. And then I met my guest, and Scott Simmons totally blew me away. I saw all the things that he was doing, and I was like, this guy is a master of YouTube. I mean, YouTube probably genuflects when he walks around, okay? Because he's created millions of views for his clients, not just for himself. And I think that is something that I want to know and I want to hear about. And it attracted me to really reach out to Scott and say, hey, let's do a show. Let's do an interview. I want to know you. So Scott, incredibly successful YouTube marketer and a video marketer. And I just want to know, man, thank you for the show, being on the show. And then two, how do you create this incredible success? What's your story?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I appreciate you for having me on the show. My last name is Simson. And it's spelled differently because there's no P in it. So, but everybody gets that mixed up. So no sweat, Patrick. I hear it all the time. No problem. So thank you for having me on the show. My start with YouTube or video marketing in general was kind of a weird one. So I have a background in insurance and financial services. That's where I started my professional life. I moved to Dallas in 2009 to totally a completely different circumstance. I actually came into a dental lab. My in-laws were leaving on a church mission for 2 years, and they asked us to come and take care of their business. I did, and so I left financial services and insurance and started this new life as a dental lab technician or orthodontic lab technician. And my wife and I had always kind of been in the personal development industry. And so we had written a couple of books in 2010 and 2011. And I started to speak on those books. So I was doing the ortho lab by day and by night. And then in my off time, I would go and I would speak on the principles of these books that we had written. In 2014, we came to this moment where my wife was pregnant with our third child, and I couldn't travel anymore. And I mean, you know, the traveling speaker life is very difficult on families. And it's just hard to do anything with your family when you're gone all the time. So my wife's like, got to be done with the traveling and speaking. And I was getting burnt out on it anyway. So I said, why don't we just transition it into a YouTube channel, and then we can reach the entire world. Right. And I say that kind of like that because like when you start that's your aspirations. Like I'm going to reach millions of people. It's going to be amazing. And then you post a video and you get 10 views. And you're like, oh, for me, that was okay because I've spoken in rooms with 10 people before. And I was like, okay, well, 10 people. Good. Awesome. We did it. And then a few weeks later, that turned into 30 people or 40 people. And then a few months later, that turned into thousands and then tens of thousands. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally speaking to an entire arena of people every time I post a video. And we had one video go, we called like semi-viral, right? It got 55,000 views. And I'm like, whoa, that's almost filling up Dallas Cowboys Stadium now. We're big time. And around that time, I was kind of running out of things to say. And I'm like, I can either exhaust this and start a new channel and do something else, or we can transition it into just a family vlog. And so essentially just telling people what we are doing each day and having them follow around and hang out with us. And then we try to incorporate a personal development message in each one of our videos. That way we left our people uplifted. And then, that just turned into this amazing, cool, successful story that we have with YouTube. Now we've got, 340,000 followers on YouTube. On just one channel, we've got probably close to 400,000 subscribers altogether in all of our channels, over 120 million organic views. And yeah, it's been amazing. And then just over the last couple of years, I bought a conference here locally in Dallas called Video Marketing World. And that's been awesome. We bring in the best talent from all over the world to come and speak from our stage, teach people how to use video to market their businesses. This last spring, we had Mark Cuban as part of our conference. It was virtual, but we did an interview with Mark Cuban. He was part of the conference, and I also consult companies on YouTube, YouTube specific marketing. So all on organic YouTube growth. So it's been an awesome experience.
That it's exciting. I mean, there are very few people that have actually, very few people that I know have gone on YouTube and actually had that kind of impact at all. There's, you think of the big names, but when you go, this is a local guy and he knows my friends and he's done some amazing things in that way. And I want to know, what do you think were the keys to creating the success that you have? And how do you do that for your clients?
So there's a couple of things that I'd say that were keys to our success. Number one, tenacity. We refuse to give up. And there were so many times where we would produce a piece of content and it would completely fall flat. And we're like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. It's such a head game. YouTube, you're up 1 minute, you're down the next, you're up and down. And then you watch your friends, they start at the same time. You interact with other people in the industry, and sometimes they'll shoot up there and they'll get 1 million views on a video. And you're like, why did they get 1 million views? And I only got 17, and so you have to have the mindset of never quit. And what helped us through that was reading our comments, and we read the comments on there and be like, thank you so much for posting this video. It changed my life. Or thank you so much. I've been going through a really hard time and I cried when I watched this because what you said really impacted me. And those are the things that kept us going. We had to have a why that was big enough to overcome any struggle that we were going through emotionally or mentally on our journey. And so maintaining that tenacious attitude, and then also just being committed to produce content, whether we liked it or not, that's really what kind of fueled our channel in those early days. And then once it took off, it was easy to maintain because now we're getting 100,000 views per video or 1 million views per video. And that's just fun. There's a lot of excitement that comes with getting a couple million views in a video. There's a lot of excitement around it. So when I'm talking to my clients, because I have gone through it, I can empathize with what they're going through, and then I can talk them off of a ledge when they're getting to that point. So a lot of the things that we focus on when I'm consulting or coaching is things like make sure that your highs are never too high and your lows are never too low. Or if your video falls flat, make sure that you put it behind you and you focus on another video. And then you bury that video with content. It was a dud, leave it up there. Don't delete it. Just bury it with more content. And then you are not focusing on what you're lacking, but you're focusing on what could happen on the next video. And then we try to take a lot of the stress away by making things very, very simple. I never go into a situation where I'm like, okay, this is what you need to do in order to be perfect. When I go into a situation where I'm consulting or when I'm working with one of our clients, I say, this is where you are today. This is where we want to be next year. This is the one step we're going to take today to get you one step closer to the goal next year. I never say we're going to make that goal happen next month, because then people get burnt out and stressed when it doesn't happen. And it's a process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You just got to take one step at a time.
Excellent. So are there any easy tips that you always encourage someone, one of your clients, to begin to just make sure that this and this and this are in the post?
Yeah. So we've got a few things. Number one, YouTube is all about the marketing side of things. So when I say the marketing side of things, I'm not meaning putting out an ad on Facebook and trying to direct traffic to your YouTube. I'm talking about the marketing that YouTube guarantees you every time you upload. And that is, they guarantee that some people are going to see your thumbnail and your title. And that's it, and they guarantee that if you use the right keywords, that it's going to get in front of the audience that's looking for your content. And so when I'm talking to a client, most of the time people's channels aren't where they want them to be because the marketing department is not in line. And so we focus heavily on thumbnails because thumbnails is your emotional connection to the human on the other side of the computer. And we focus heavily on titles because YouTube, if you don't use the right titles, YouTube doesn't know how to categorize you. And if YouTube knows how to categorize you, you're going to find the right person for your videos every day of the week. But if you throw up a video that's called Tuesday or I did it or something like that, there's no way YouTube's going to put that in front of the right audience because there's no context. There's no search engine optimization. And we got to remember YouTube is a search engine, and they want to give your content. They want to distribute it in front of the right people.
And I've heard that keywords, that the keywords are really important. Do you coach them on how to find the right keywords and stuff like that as well? Or is that, I mean, that to a lot of people, you start talking about that and their eyes glaze over and they're like, what?
Yeah. So yes, it depends on who we're working with. I take very few coaching clients or consulting clients. I mostly have a done for you service or an agency that we run our clients through. And then we just do all of that research and ahead of time. So when
So
I'm
you're the
teaching
one.
my client, what's that?
I was just saying, so you're the one that provides it is all I was trying to make sure that I got that, because it's, I've heard that's really, really, powerful. I've always been told that, but to know that you're doing that is probably an amazing gift. So you were saying a couple of things. I mean, to jump through two or three more other tips that you might.
Yeah, yeah. So the next thing that we teach is show format, because if you come into a video, you start creating a video, and you you open it up and you close it all in one take. 10-minute video. Sometimes it's hard for people to be able to follow you for that amount of time. Now, if you have a format of a show where you immediately hook them, you say, today we're going to be talking about X, Y, and Z. And you should stay because at the very end, we're going to give you my biggest secret, most secret bonus that you're just not going to believe. Then you've got them hooked. YouTube is a series of hooks. You have to hook them from the beginning in order to get them to watch the next 30 seconds. Then you got to hook them in that 30 seconds in order to get them to watch your first bullet point. And then your first bullet point's got to lead into your second. You're in video production, so you understand the power of especially the news. It's like, hey, stay tuned for the weather. It's going to be at the top of the hour or whatever. And they get people to stay the entire time because they know that the weather is the most important part, or they know that the sports announcement is the most important part, whatever. They hook people from the beginning in order to get them to watch more and more. So you get that audience retention up. So we use what's called in talking head style content, we use what's called the 2-3-4-1 formula. So essentially, after your hook and after your intro, once you get into the meat of your content, you give them the second most important piece of content or second most important bullet point first, followed by the third and the fourth. And then you finish it up with the first most important piece of content. So that way that's the most exciting and it ends on a high note. So using that formula will help people stay in your content longer. The longer you keep people on your content on YouTube, the more YouTube likes you because they can serve up more ads, and then you win in the algorithm because YouTube is distributing you more.
That's beautiful. So I really just want to know, who's your ideal client? Who do you really look to serve and have been serving to create so much success for them?
So in YouTube, if you've been doing YouTube long enough, you will experience what we call a breakaway video. And when that happens, essentially what happens, or what that means, is that YouTube has taken one of your pieces of content and they have given it extra exposure. And so that's YouTube telling you, okay, we're categorizing you in this general category, this niche. And so my ideal client is a client who has already experienced that, because after that point, it's a lot easier for you to create content that fits in that category. You just need to have the right strategy put in place. But that also shows me that that client has stuck with YouTube long enough to get some attention and get some traction on their channel. So that's the one thing. That's the first thing that we look for. The second thing is, uh, do they have a business that is backed up, that YouTube can help produce, or that YouTube can help send clientele to? Because if they don't have a business, my expense is not justifiable, because I'm pretty expensive, and I want to make sure that they get an ROI on all of the traffic that I'm sending to them. So for example, I work with other influencers who all own their own businesses, and essentially what I'm doing every time that I bring them traffic, they are getting more sales for their on their business. And some of our business owners will get hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales from YouTube. Some of them will get multiple millions of dollars in sales from YouTube, just depending on their niche, their category, and how much effort they put into it. So
So,
so kind of the baseline answer is, we work with companies that are typically doing between 1 and, I'd say, $20 million annually, to the point where they don't want to hire a team to manage YouTube. They want to outsource it. It's more simple to outsource it, and then we just walk hand in hand together. I work as essentially part of their team.
right. But you said it's a done for you solution, except you're not the one on the video. They are. Is that correct? Am I reading that right?
Yeah. So they produce all of their own content, and then they can send it to us for editing, or sometimes they edit. They have their in-house editors, and then they just send us the final draft, and we do all of the SEO, we do all of the titling, the thumbnails, everything, to just get it distributed. And then once it's distributed, then we manage it. We actively manage it. So if there are any problems that come up, or if the thumbnail isn't getting a high enough click-through rate, we'll swap thumbnails out to make sure that we're constantly feeding YouTube content or marketing that is effective. And so we don't just throw it up there and then just leave it. We're actually looking at it, reading the analytics, and making sure that everything that we're doing is on point. And then we also provide strategy, so content strategy. Right now, I've got clients that we're talking almost every single day about, okay, this is what here's what the next couple of videos are going to be about. In your last video, these are the things, your algorithm dropped off at about, or the analytics, your watch time dropped off at about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. What did you do at the 3 minute 50 seconds that lost viewers? And then let's not repeat that. So those are the things that we do. We're actively monitoring our clients' YouTube channels to make sure that everything that they're putting out there is as good as it can be for the algorithm.
What kind of results have you been able to create for some of the folks?
Yeah, so we have, gosh, it's hard to tell. I mean, a lot of our clients are that we step into, or that work with us, are already successful, but some of the ones that haven't been as successful, I mean, who when we started with them more at an early stage, so we have one client right now that went from 9,000 subscribers almost to 90,000 subscribers in the last 7 months. We did a channel, worked with a channel last year that we went from 0 to 9,000 subscribers in about 4 months. And now that channel is still doing phenomenally. We have another channel that went from 0 to 5,000 subscribers in about 4 months. And so sometimes when we're working with channels that are brand new, then it's easier to gauge those results as opposed to somebody who's got 5 million subscribers. But yeah, they gained 400,000 subscribers in the last 3 months, but that's pretty typical for that channel. So what we're mostly looking at that point is year over year results. So we'll say, okay, the last year you did this amount of views at this period of time, and you got this number of subscribers. This year you're on pace to completely blow that out of the water, and we hit those benchmarks. So pretty awesome.
So if somebody's in that that category between 1 million and 20 million. They either have a YouTube channel or their intention is to, with this, all the things that are going on this year in 2020, what are the, the impact is that everything's gone virtual and they want to do more.
Yep.
How would they connect to you, and what would that experience look like?
Yeah, so I'm on all the social media platforms, so you can basically send me a message anywhere and I'll see it. LinkedIn, I'm actively monitoring. Facebook, I'm actively monitoring, and then obviously email. I always get my emails. So if anybody wants to connect with me, then I would just say send an email, and then we'll go over your channel, we'll go over your goals, and see if it'd be a good fit.
Excellent.
I'm the first to admit I'm not the best fit for everybody, but I will 100% let you know if I feel like that's the case. But I work with channels in all over the place, categorical. So I'm not just working with family vlogs. I work with people in the fitness industry. I work with people in the interior design, in the service-based industries. I've worked with people. I worked with a self-taught weatherman. I mean, I've got clients all over the place in terms of category. The cool thing is once you get the basic understanding of how YouTube works, you can grow a channel in any category. It's just a matter of having those basics down.
That's amazing. Scott Simpson, and I encourage you, if you're really wanting to grow your platform, your YouTube and your social media presence, and get more engagement and more creating a bigger attractor factor is one way to say that. I would encourage you, connect with Scott. I'll have his links down below in the YouTube. If you like what you're seeing, this is strength-based marketing. I'm Pat Dewar. Then make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so that you see the updates, because I'm always trying to bring you great ideas from influencers in the business arena to help you grow your business, to make it more profitable, more engaged, better clients all the time. Conveyor belt kind of concept of new leads, new prospects, new clients to help you grow your business. Thank you so much, Scott, for being on the show today. And folks, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.